We're back with the League of the Genuine Conversations with me, your host, Fred Muwema. We are happy to have you as an audience. As always, this program is intended to awaken the consumer, to awaken the public to the menace of fakes, counterfeits, and substandards. As always, we have a new guest. This time round, we have the Compliance and Enforcement Manager from the National Identification and Registration Authority. Please do join me in welcoming Counsel John Bahemuka Towa. Bahemuka Towa. You will explain that combination.
I will.
Maybe at some point, but you're welcome. John, this show is promoting genuine, authentic products. Is there a relationship between the legal requirement to identify and register citizens of Uganda with the promotion of genuine or authentic citizens?
Yes, thank you very much, and I'm glad to be here. I thank you for the opportunity for hosting NIRA to share information about who we are, what we do, and how we contribute to what you're trying to do or what you're trying to achieve by this show. One is that there is no counterfeit or fake citizen. You are either a citizen or a non-citizen. Our role, our primary role as NIRA, first and foremost, is to register all persons in the country. And that is categorized by two types. One is to register citizens in this country, and secondly, to register aliens who are legally resident non-citizens in this country. So that's the difference. For citizens, we issue them with national identification numbers and cards, commonly referred to as NINs. For the aliens who are the non-citizens but legally resident in Uganda, we issue them with alien identification numbers and cards called AINs. So our role really is to register all persons.
All persons, but I like the emphasis on who are legally resident in Uganda. So meaning that if you are illegally resident in Uganda as an alien, you are fake, you are genuine. What are you?
Well, I'll not say you're fake or genuine, but you are in the country illegally. Yes.
And because counterfeits are illegal things, so for us here we can say that is a fake immigrant or an illegal immigrant.
Yes.
So the purpose, what you're saying is that the purpose of registration is to clean up the system, to know who we are dealing with and to account for every person in the jurisdiction.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just want to emphasize that as a country, we welcome you to the country, but you must follow the requirements that are put in place by law to have in the country. So if you are a non-citizen and you would wish to come to the country, we have an agency that deals with that. Once you're granted permission to enter into the country with the proper documentation, you come to NIRA, then we register you and issue you with an alien identification number.
Is NIRA concerned with, once you've registered the person as a citizen and you give them identification, are you concerned with where the person goes in the country?
No. You are at liberty to go anywhere. Our role is just to have your information in the national database, and you are assigned that unique identified number to you, and that is where we
You're
stop.
Free.
We don't have any.
So NIRA does not go into issues like these days. I see there is an issue in the north. Is it Balalo have come? Is it they are going? Is it
No?
NIRA NIDA has registered all those people and is not bothered where they go.
What we are required by law, and what the obligation that a person has, is to have his or her particulars captured and registered with NIRA. Where you go and stay after that,
so
is
in
really
the
not.
Barano conflict in the north, you don't participate. You
We
can't
don't
play a role.
We don't participate.
Okay. Now, these days we have so many forms of counterfeit, and part of that new form is fake news. Now, I don't know whether it was fake news, but I saw something in the media, NIRA saying that people should not use their national IDs as securities for loans. Was that fake news?
No, that was true news.
True news.
Yes.
Why would NIRA be interested in what somebody uses their national ID for if they give it as a security? After all, national IDs are given in the courts as security to release somebody in a court case.
Yeah.
Why is that so?
I just want to make this clear for our audience, that the rationale, the intended spirit behind this whole system that we have was to be able to identify persons who have been registered. That when we give you that unique identification number, when we capture your information, the card we give you is to help identify, or it's a representation and evidence of the fact that you've been registered.
And it gives your details.
It gives you details.
So you're called Bahemuka John.
Toa,
so if you take your
this is
national
your
ID
name, yes,
and do a transaction and get money.
exactly. But now, if you do a transaction to identify yourself as John Toa, because the national ID just is for just more than a transaction of money lending. Under the law, you're required to produce your national ID before you receive a host of other services,
Like
employment, driving license, the passport, pension, name it, Section 66 of the Registration of Persons Act. Now, if you withhold that card of mine, yet the very law states that before you receive other services, you must present that document. How are you supposed to receive that document? It was never an intention.
Are you saying we must move with our national IDs?
Yes.
Everywhere we go?
Yes.
Even when you go to bed? You must identify yourself
to your
before
spouse.
you sleep to your spouse that here I am.
Yeah. But anyway.
Seriously, you're saying don't use your national ID in a financial transaction as security.
As security. But you can use it to identify yourself even before due diligence is being carried out to the person. You're required, actually, for financial, you're required to present it to identify yourself. The rider here is that withholding, the financial institution withholding that card of yours because it has advanced to you, or before, on condition to be given a facility, that is what is not accepted. Because then the purpose for which this whole system was created was to have you enjoy other services, more than just financial services.
So by the time NIRA comes up to issue this warning, caution to the public, was the practice of using national IDs as security for loans rampant?
Yes, it was rampant, and this followed a cry we had been receiving from people and also in the press. That time there was a moneylender whose offices were broken into, and thieves made away with over 100 national ID cards. Now, assuming that person, that thief, went and committed another offense somewhere and dropped that ID at that scene of crime,
the owner would be in trouble.
In trouble. By the time you prove your innocence, it has cost you so much inconvenience to you, because that is not what really. So it is also for the interest of people that is a secret document that should keep. And
so you issued a statement that national ID should not be used as security. But how have you ensured that and enforced some money lenders who are still holding national IDs as security and they have not been paid? How are you ensuring they return the cards?
One is that fortunately the regulator of the money lending sector, microfinance authority, came up and warned money lenders against that habit. We were glad that they picked it up themselves, and they actually did provide a hotline to the public that if there are those whose cards have been confiscated by national ID, by money lenders as collateral, they should inform them and action will be taken. So the regulator has taken it up with them. Like I said, for us on our part was to create the awareness that please do not stake your card as security, and you shall be, you should always remember why the government issued you that card.
Okay, now this is my national ID. It bears my names, it has all my biodata here. This is my property. Is that correct?
That is your information.
Who owns this national ID, which you are refusing me to use as I want? Who owns this?
A national ID by law is the property of government of Uganda. Even if issued to you, it remains the property of the government of Uganda. So
the reason it's the property of government of Uganda is because it's issued by government.
It is issued by government, yes, that we don't deny it, and it is actually issued to government, to you, at no cost. At no cost. And just that for it to facilitate you to enjoy other government services.
But government also issues, let's say, a land title to me for my property. And that land title is my property. Okay? Under Article 26 of the Constitution, you have a right to property.
Yes.
This is also property.
Yeah. So
isn't this part of my private property?
So that you know, with the land comes in consideration, and so many factors really about land and ownership of property. Where there's ownership of property, there's been consideration that has been passed for that property. You know,
my degree papers are my property.
Yes.
The consideration is school fees was paid, I went to school, studied, and passed.
Yeah.
Even here, the consideration is I was born and survived and celebrated many birthdays to get a...
Yes.
Okay, but you're saying this is property of the government
of Uganda. But mine is just to give the context. Let us look at the deeper context under which this whole system is in play. And it's certainly in Uganda. Worldwide, the identification sector and the systems are now part and parcel of every government anywhere in the world. Actually, Uganda, we delayed. We started late, but we've made huge strides and even surpassed other countries that began this whole national ID system before us. So the whole point is that there's just so much that the advantages to the government and to the public, to the citizen about this whole system. One is that even before cases of fraud, we are talking about counterfeit here, have greatly reduced, for instance, because of enforcement of national identification system. Before then, someone would transfer your land title without you knowing. I'm not saying that we have 100% erased that, but it has considerably reduced. And the more we create an efficient system, the more we shall reduce that kind of fraud. So the benefit that of this document is enormous. And I just want, and I'm glad that you're giving us this platform to enlighten the public.
To explain.
Yes.
But I want to know, as to avoid the confusion, because this has my particulars,
yes,
my private data,
yes,
which is protected under the data protection.
Yes, sir.
It is mine.
Yes.
But then you're saying it is for the government. So does the government lend me this? Is there, do I borrow this from the government? And because that has to be clear so that we know the demarcation between the public and private right in respect of this, because it has my personal data, which is my property.
Yes.
And then you're telling me it is yours.
So the data is
mine.
Is yours, and 100% it is not government, it is your personal data. We are storing your personal information. We are holding in trust your personal information. We have simply used this as a mechanism as evidence to show, if questioned, whether we have your data. And if you see the information there, the NIN, and I want to make it known that what is actually the most important thing in this whole system is what they call the national identification number.
Which we are going to come to.
Yes,
because
yes, yes.
Also it causes issues.
Yes.
But
So
as we close this segment,
yes.
So if this is the property of the government, that means the government owns me.
No. So the government does not own you. You are yourself
I'm a private
citizen. You're a very person.
Okay.
What we've just, the system is a system of, it's a trust system here, that we are holding your data for you in private to facilitate you in our government public relationship and interaction, both in the private sector and in the public sector.
So as we close, what you're telling the audience is that this is public property. It is sacred. It is a symbol of our sovereignty. Absolutely. You cannot play with it. You cannot fake it. You cannot. In fact, faking this is a high offense.
It is a high offense.
What's the punishment for counterfeiting a national ID?
5 years in jail.
Or a
fine.
So it is something we should keep properly. Like you see, what's the ideal way of keeping a national ID? I put mine here.
Yes. And
you don't go with it in. You can go with it to a bar, but you may not leave it there. Okay, let's take a break.
Yeah.
We're back with the second segment. This is the League of the Genuine. If you're new here, this is the only show on the planet where we discuss the important but often ignored subjects of counterfeits. And in the house is the Compliance and Enforcement Manager of NIRA, National Identification and Registration Authority, Mr. Towa. Mr. Towa, this show is about counterfeits.
Yes.
We did some research as we were preparing to go live. And some people have concerns that we might be having some fake national IDs in this form. For example, some national IDs have mistakes, date of birth, name, and so on, but people are carrying them around.
Yes.
What is the prevalence of that incident, and are such cards fake?
The process of printing that card begins with information filled in by the applicant on a form called Form 3, an enrollment Form 3. So before you fill in, before you get enrolled, before you capture information, we pick that information using a form. Your name, date of birth, sex, origin, place of birth, citizen type, parents, father's details, mother details, etc. So that information is then captured on the kit, and once it's captured, we then pick your biometrics, your finger, your face, then you sign, and we process that information, of course, plus the supporting documents that are required for registration. Now, we recognize that there could be errors that happen when capturing that information, when getting that information off that form to the system by our registration.
Your data entrance, yes.
Entrance. There are also instances where the errors are by the applicants, where when they are filling in especially in 2014, people took this exercise very, very casually. In 2017, when we were registering children in school, they took the exercise casually. Maybe the children at that time didn't have the information from their parents, or the teachers filled in the information for the children. So, because now the national ID is a foundational document across the country, you're now going to process a replacement of your driving license. They require you to have the NIN. Then the former driving license you had, the expired one, has a different name from the one that you presented during registration. They will not process that driving license until you have your information on the National Identification Register.
Tallying with.
Exactly. So now you come back to NIRA. We have a process where you can apply to have the information corrected. Now, if it was, the error was on the part of NIRA, we rectify that at no cost. And how do we determine it was an error on the part of NIRA? We have a copy of that original form
that you filled
in even 10 years ago, because we get that form and scan it on the system. So we simply download it. It is there with your signature. We download it. We're able to see that you typed your name as John Mary. You're the one who filled your name as John Mary, probably instead of John Bosco.
So is that a big problem of those mistakes, either caused by the applicant or caused by NIRA? Is it prevalent?
It is, I can say, it is not that prevalent. However, there is misconception that you go through a tedious process.
That's the other complaint.
Yes.
That the bureaucracy,
yes,
if you're trying, in fact, many people fear to give in their ID with mistakes to be corrected. They say the procedure is so long, so wrong.
Yeah.
I mean long. What do you say about that?
That, and I'm glad that I'm here with the senior counsel. When you are giving us that information, there is a declaration part at the end of that form where you sign and show that the information you're giving is correct. Now, to undo that, what is required to again swear by, correct that by a statutory declaration. So we ask these clients, once they have confirmed that the error was theirs, we tell them, no, you go and see a lawyer, he'll draft for a certificate declaration, now giving us a correct information and attach any supporting document to that effect. And we have that SD registered with RSB and then present it back to NIRA. So now for them,
doing that?
Exactly, they think that you just go there and say, I gave you wrong information, please correct it. The same way that they gave the information while registering. Because it is now a legal requirement for you to.
So people don't understand the procedures. Maybe you are not explaining well.
Absolutely. That is also.
So we need a statutory declaration. What else do they need?
Now, depending on so many circumstances, it's just not only one scenario. But what is a standard is that for any error that was not occasioned by NIRA, you need a statutory declaration.
And for error of NIRA?
NIRA you don't need anything, because we own that mistake. We own it because the information is there. Of course, they have cost you time in that case, for which we apologize. But we own it, and
how long does it take?
We give you a new card.
How long does it take? 1 week, 1 month, 1 year?
6 weeks.
6 weeks,
yes.
Almost 2 months.
Yeah.
So during that time, if somebody wants a service, as you've said, I have to move with my national ID, they give you a call and you explain to the office where they are going.
So we have on our website, you can generate a letter to any specific agency or office that needs
to explain
or that needs you to present your card or national ID number. I must say that the entire process is, it is not just any other process where you go and just print out a card. So we are capturing your data. We process that data. The data process, as first of all, it is a national security information system. We want to ensure that there is only one person against the NIN we have issued out. That's why it's a a unique identifying number.
But there are cases reported of some people, one person who has 2 national IDs.
Yes. So you should know that you can have 2 national IDs printed out. How?
Legally.
For instance, no, you can have 2 national IDs printed out. For instance, if you report that you lost your card, yes, and you present evidence that your card got lost, we ask you to go to police. You pay the cost of 50,000 for a new card, you fill in the form. We print out a new card. But the other card is deactivated in the system. So physically you could have it, or it could be some, because it's lying somewhere. It's lost but lying somewhere.
Some people, I think there's somebody I know who has 2 cards.
Yes.
They're all working.
That, I can guarantee you that one of those cards does not work. Because that card is, on the face of it is there, you can,
not activated.
But it's not activated. You will go to a bank, you'll go to buy a SIM card with that card, and it shall be rejected because it cannot be read. There is a difference between the card number and the NIN. As long as you have one NIN, we cannot produce for you
2 cards.
2 cards.
Now my question is, this card with wrong details about me, it's not authentic. Is it fake? Can I say that this is a counterfeit card because it has mistakes?
It is not fake, but it has information that is not accurate. So the card itself is an authentic card, but the information on that card is not accurate, because you may say that you gave of the mistakes that you have identified on the card, but that does not make the card fake, because you can go and transact.
A fake card would be one that is not authorized.
Yes.
That is issued as a forgery.
Yes. There is no data behind that card.
There is no data behind.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There is, that NIN is not existent.
So people should not be worried that they have become fake citizens with those cards with mistakes.
Absolutely.
Then there's also a problem of brokers. There are people who say, you pay me, I will process for you a card express and so on. Why does NIRA put brokers out there to the public? Are they your guys, those guys?
I want to make it categorically clear. We do not have middlemen in our process. We do not have agents. We do not have brokers. And anyone who approaches you purporting to be an agent or broker or a middleman for NIRA is a fake, and that person, you should report that person to a nearest police station. Or you
He's a criminal.
He's a
counterfeiter.
He's a counterfeiter.
But many of them go and process the national IDs and bring them. Some people have got them through them.
And you know, first of all, the processing of a national ID cannot take place through a third party, because at one point in time we need to interface to capture biometrics of the applicant. You cannot stay in office here in the studio and you call someone and say, hey, please, you register my daughter. These are her details. No. Behind that national identification number is your unique biometric feature, your fingerprint, which is unique to you. Every NIN has a biometric behind it. That's why all our NINs are different, even if you are a twin.
And the biometrics are fingerprint, eyes,
face, and voice.
Face recognition.
Yes.
Eye recognition, even voice.
Yes. And now,
I don't remember speaking. They ask you to sing before they give you the ID or what? How do they take the voice? Just you speak as you're interacting?
In all our system, yes. And
so you have my voice there?
No, those are the unique features that all of us here in this room have.
But somebody's voice, if you got a cold, your voice would be like Barry White. It would be heavy.
Yes, but so, for the purpose of the NIN, currently, we are having the fingerprint and the face. In the new system that we intend to roll out for the mass enrollment and mass renewal of cards, which is due next year, we are going to add a third biometric feature, the iris. where as they're taking your picture, also take your iris. So at least the 3 biometric features put together will definitely distinguish
those
me
two
from...
biometric features protect us from any form of counterfeiting.
Absolutely.
I remember when I went to get my ID,
Yes.
they asked me to take off my glasses.
Yes.
And yet the glasses are part of my identity. So the Fred who is there in the ID looks different from this one. Why should we take off the glasses?
So now the ICAO standards, one, you might also realize that this national ID we have here is also a travel document. You can go to Kenya, just you swipe your card at the border. You can travel across to Rwanda just using a national ID. So it's also a travel document. Now ICAO standards.
What is ICAO?
ICAO is International Civil Aviation Organization, the international body that regulates air travel and everything to do about cross-border travel. They set standards for how travel documents should look like.
And the standards hates people with the Galubindi like
hate
us.
That they take your actual facial recognition
without
without anything artificial as you are. Yeah. So after that you're free to put on your specs. So that is why that is done. But also most importantly is that we want to get the natural you. We want to have the natural you
in your natural form.
In your natural form. Yeah.
Without how come some other things people put on like cosmetics and what? Why don't you require people to scrub? Well, some people will come with a coating of cosmetics. They look different.
Exactly. When they go back, well.
I think you may want to consider that. Otherwise, you're discriminating against
I hope there not be an out.
Us with this. But as we close this segment, how safe is the Uganda national ID? How safe is it from counterfeiting?
I can tell you that.
And I'm asking this because there have been some stories of some thugs caught with fake national IDs.
Yeah.
So some people are worried, maybe this thing is easy to fake. Talk about the security of this.
So that card has security features. Basic things that you can do to distinguish a fake card from a genuine card. The easiest is on the part of the card where your date of birth is written. It is rough, tactile, it's called tactile, and that cannot be faked. It will be very, very, very expensive for you to get that equipment to have that tactile print on the card. That card, it has security features that can be seen under UV light. You know, this UV light that people use for checking counterfeit notes, currency. The same for the card. On the face of the card, if you put that card under that UV light, it will illuminate some bright light on that card. That card at an angle, if you tilt it at an angle, it will have again some bright light.
But these are known to the verifier. For we the public we may not know, but so you're warning anybody trying to move around with a fake ID, they'll be thrown into jail.
You should know that faking a card has a high price you pay. It is unlawful, it is criminal. Under section 76, 77 and 78 of the Registration of Persons Act, it outlaws faking or producing of cards purporting to be national identification cards. And once caught, you're liable to imprisonment, you're liable to have your equipment confiscated, and you could even be required to pay a fine for that. So don't even try but also to persons who are presented these cards, please just verify. Simply, like I've illustrated, the tactile, UV lights, just put those cards, even if you, and another one is just to drop that card. If you drop that card, it makes a different sound from these forged cards. This one is it sounds more like plastic, but it's not plastic. So if you just drop
special material,
exactly, it will just sound like a plastic dropping.
So Towa, are you saying that because our national ID is very secure, we should throw away our office IDs? What is the point? I just move around with my national ID. Should we throw away the office IDs?
The office ID, mine, I'll speak from a national perspective. As the country, that national IDs are important for identifying yourself where you are going. I'm not saying that you should drop your office IDs, because internally it's maybe the regulation of the entity,
the organization.
But what I advise is that every employer should require that his or her employee has a national ID.
Maybe the benefit of the office ID. For example, your national ID doesn't show that you're a big man, a manager. Okay, but the office ID will say this is a big man,
this is a managing partner,
manager, and so on. No?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a break. We're back with the third and last segment of this conversation with Mr. Towa, Manager Compliance and Enforcement, NIRA. Now, you explained to us how safe the national ID is and how it is important each one has a national ID. I was reading recently, a delegation from South Africa came to visit you, your counterparts from South Africa. And one of the things they were very happy about was the compulsory nature of the registration and birth, of birth and death in Uganda. And I was wondering, isn't it compulsory everywhere? Why is it unique to Uganda?
It is compulsory everywhere. However, the unique part about Uganda is that we go ahead and identify or issue a national identification number or alien identification number to a child upon registration of that birth. So in other words, the NIN is given to a child at birth.
So a one-day-old child has a national identification
number. So we issue the number.
National identification number is different from a national ID?
The card, yes. And if you allow me explain to the audience. So the card is only given to you when you attain the age of 16 years.
The national ID?
Identification card, yes, the ID.
Okay.
But the number is assigned to you from birth.
That's what they call the NIN.
NIN.
National Identification Number.
And that is the most important thing in all the system, the number, that unique number. So the card is simply a representation of what
so
is in
I can walk
NIN.
around with a NIN without a national ID?
Absolutely. As long as you have your NIN and you can identify yourself.
So where is the NIN found?
So the NIN is on your card. The NIN is on your card.
So can you write it on my hands here and I just show it to an authority?
Yes.
That please, I have my NIN here. Or it must be on the card?
Now, what the other authority has to do is to be able to verify that NIN
in the system.
In real time. It's a journey that we are beginning as a country. We have over 70 entities now connected to our system.
So if you're at the airport, you don't have a national ID, you give the NIN number, which you've written on a paper, they will be able to confirm.
And that is what the law requires, that before you receive a service, you're supposed to present either a NIN or a card. It does not say...
but the card has your NIN.
The card has my NIN. The card
and it also has a card number.
So the card is simply verifying that this person of this NIN is registered.
So, we have 40+ million Ugandans.
Yeah.
Are you telling me we have 40 million NINs?
No.
And national IDs. Everybody is registered. Is that what you're saying?
We haven't yet reached 100% registration.
We are at what percentage?
We are at about 69%.
About 30.
Yes. So we have NIRA, we are planning a mass registration next year to register approximately 17.2 million unregistered Ugandans to take us to 100% mark. However,
just wait a minute. Yes. So we have some Ugandans roaming around,
yes,
who are not registered.
Yes.
And those ones are also Ugandans.
Those ones are Ugandans. They're Ugandans, but they haven't yet registered. So the government is coming out, is planning to come out to them the same way we came out in 2014 to say, look here, people, come and register and have a NIN assigned to you and a national ID card.
But John, how do you explain that? Because I think I was looking at the Registration of Persons Act,
yes,
section 68, I think,
yes,
and it was saying that the registration and obtaining of the NIN is prima facie evidence of your citizenship.
Absolutely.
Now you're telling me 17 million Ugandans don't have NINs. So prima facie they are not citizens.
So when they present themselves, for them to prove that they're citizens really,
they can't prove.
That it will be a tall order for them to prove they are citizens.
So those
17... First of all, by law, registration is compulsory. They are supposed to register.
So those ones are what now, those 17 million? How do you describe them? Because the law doesn't provide for them.
The law does not provide for them. The law requires them to register. They haven't yet registered, and we are coming for them to be registered. We are giving them another chance. We are giving, and by the way, we continuously register. It's not that it's closed. We register on a continuing basis. So
is it the reason you have such a big number which is yet to register? Is it because maybe you have not decentralized? Are you up country?
Yes, we are in 117 districts.
Like I can go to that district and get my national ID in Adjumani?
You register, yes.
I don't have to come to Kampala?
You don't have to come to Kampala. You go and register. You can go to Karamoja. We are everywhere. We are spread around the country.
So when are you planning to do 100% registration? By which year?
By 2024, we plan to have everyone registered. The plans are underway. We are developing a new system to cope up with the latest trends or the most recent trends on technology. The technology we are using right now is obsolete. Technology 10 years ago, I'm sure you don't even hold the phone that you had 10 years ago. Yet technology evolves every night. There's something new. So behind the scenes, there is work going on to acquire technology that can enable us seamlessly register.
And yet, I am hearing of new national IDs going to be issued.
Yes.
So new national IDs, and then we still have some people to register. How are you going to?
So it is a massive project that we are preparing to undertake. About 15.8 million cards are expiring based on
15.8 million cards are expiring
based on the 2014
so is
registration.
The citizenship of those citizens going to expire also?
No, it is the card that's expiring, but citizenship does not expire. So the law is very clear that NIN does not expire. The NIN does not expire.
Oh, the card can expire.
Yes.
But the NIN given at birth.
Yes. It is your NIN for your entire lifetime. Now, even on your death certificate, once you reach that point, we shall put that NIN there. And no one else shall ever get that
So
NIN.
you cannot give the NIN of a deceased person to another living person?
No. You're buried with your NIN. It will appear on your death certificate. Yeah.
Wow, that is interesting.
So we want to have 100% registration.
There are some people I saw, I think, on TV. They claim to be Ugandans. They claim that when they went to register, they asked them their grandfather's name, their what, they gave the names, and they refused to give them names. What is the criteria for refusing to give somebody a national ID?
Yeah. So, like I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this session, we register citizens and legally resident non-citizens, whom the law refer to as aliens. So, in citizens, there are types of citizenship that we have in Uganda. We have citizenship by birth.
Even when you're an alien?
At Article 10, no, I just want to clarify.
Okay.
Under Article 10 of the Constitution, meaning your parents or grandparents were born in Uganda and are among the indigenous communities listed under Schedule 3 of the Constitution of Uganda as at 1st of February 1926. So there must be persons from the indigenous communities listed in Uganda. So the misconception people have is that if being born in Uganda will make you Ugandan by birth. No. Is that your parents or grandparents were residing within the boundaries of Uganda by 1st of February 1962 and belong to one of the indigenous communities in...
So if I am not part of the indigenous community but I was born,
it does not make you Ugandan. So being born in Uganda does not make you Ugandan. It is being born by a Ugandan from the indigenous communities listed in the Constitution that makes you a Ugandan. However, a Ugandan citizen by birth. However, you may qualify for a different type of citizenship, which is granted to you. Citizenship by birth is inherently acquired.
It's inherent, yeah.
Yes, your grandparent group, you're born into it. But other type of citizenship, you're granted, you have to apply to the National Citizenship and Immigration Board. That is citizenship by naturalization, by registration. So they have a criteria. Maybe you've stayed here in Uganda for the last 20 years, you speak an indigenous community. There are requirements that you must fulfill. You apply to the board, then you are granted a certificate. So you come to NIRA with that certificate. It is only people who are born citizens by birth that don't need anything. You just need evidence that you are.
So can you acquire citizenship by marriage?
Yes, but it's granted to you also. You marry Ugandan. For more than 3 years you've been married.
Man or woman?
Man or woman.
Okay.
You fulfill, but you apply. The bottom line is that you have to apply and then you're granted. It's not automatic.
To support your application, if you have children, it's even better.
Exactly. Yeah, but that is a different agency that handles it. It's not NIRA. For us, what we just require is you to give us the evidence of the certificate granting you that citizenship. Then we'll register you and give you.
Okay. You said the national ID is important. But in your law, you have a lot of other identification documents. Voter's card, passport, driver's license, baptism certificates. And yet, in the law you say, this law was made to stop a duplication of services. So aren't you contradicting yourself? To have, why should I have a passport? And then I have a national ID? And how do you answer that?
Okay, I answer it from the historical perspective. We began this system in 2014, where we were all adults, we had all these documents carried everywhere. The intention, in the long run of government, is that at one point that will not take place, where you'll be required to present a passport, to present a voter's card, for you to be registered. That was for the purposes of closing this gap that I am now 40 years, I'm now registering for national ID. Now, just look at it this way. If we have 100% of the Ghanaians registered, what are we going to move to? We are going to move to strengthen birth registration. We register you from the hospital, we register you from the community and assign you a name because the event is there. You me as a parent, I have my national ID, I've produced the child. The requirements are actually not there because the event has happened. I've given you a name. So because we began this whole project, this whole registration system somewhere where we already, the country was already on its heels. There was the need to have documentation for people to present themselves, support the registration. But that will phase out with time. Once we attain 100% registration and we strengthen birth registration, there will be no requirement. So
we might have a time where my national ID, I will use it to go and vote without need for a voter's card. My national ID, NSSF. So it will cover everything.
NSSF, it will cover everything. Yeah, that is where we are going. And that's
so far, as we close, so far you're talking about identification of living persons. What about identification of the dead? The death registration.
Yes.
Can you tell us there? Because I also know that some communities in Uganda resist registering dead people.
Yes.
Death certificates. Talk about death certificates. What are the challenges there?
The one by law, we are required to register a death as it has occurred immediately.
So you are at the hospital?
In any case, yes. In any case, not less than 30 days from the time the death occurred.
That's so you must receive a report?
We must receive a notification from a health facility or from a community leader that a death has occurred. Now, this is just a cultural issue. Unlike Kenya, where before you bury, you must present a burial permit. For us in Uganda, because death is a very sad culture.
Even in Kenya it is sad.
Yes. But we don't have yet a culture
of accepting
to first have every documentation in order. Most people only come to register and follow up the death certificate where there is property involved. Because if you're applying for letters of administration,
you need death certificate.
For as long as there is no motivation in terms of property of the deceased to be followed up,
they don't register.
They will not register.
So is NIRA attending all burials to register the dead before they bury them? How are you trying to ensure compliance?
So what we're trying to do, we're trying to, first of all, open communication lines with the persons at funeral homes, with the religious leaders, with the persons at mortuaries, to open up the conversation. Particularly, we want to target religious leaders because in every death there is an element of religion in it. Just like when you are attending or you seek to get wedded, they'll ask you, please present your baptism card. Please present your confirmation card. We want to open up that conversation with the religious leader and ask them to, in their... And
the witch doctors, some people...
If that is your belief, yes, just that you tell these people, please ensure that you have this death that I'm presiding over registered. LCs, to enforce, and every dead body that is being brought into their...
To get the registration.
In every burial function, an LC one must talk. Most times they are inviting, the first person to give a speech. So we want to encourage them. We have opened up conversations with local government to have the parish chiefs, them to start speaking to the people about the importance. Most times the immediate family who are entitled to the documents, because of that very sorrowful time,
they don't think about it.
It is also people from afar who are watching, hey, this person, let me start moving. By the time they now, after 6 months, okay, when they have now accepted the situation, they find that somebody XY
has obtained. You've just talked about fake national IDs in a few places.
Yes.
Do we have fake death certificates?
Yes, we do. And these fakes are everywhere. Documents, day and night, whereas we are striving to ensure that people don't fake, documents, tightening controls here, maybe trying to have features, security features in the documents.
So why would somebody say they are dead? Why would somebody say they issue a death certificate in their name when they are walking around?
That I will not want to speculate as to
But
why.
it happens like that. It's there.
Yeah, I've read in the press where someone faked his death. Very many years they found him alive. Maybe they want to run away from
There's
death.
one I saw, some South African guy who was in prison. He caused an arson, a fire. I don't remember the name. A fire in the prison. And so the media reported that this prisoner died. But he was out having a party in other countries, and they caught him again.
Yeah.
So it's also an issue that you're tightening.
It's an issue we're tightening. And for us is that if we have all our systems interlinked, if we have our court system interlinked with the NERA system, if our police criminal registry interlinked with NERA, if we have our Interpol system interlinked with NERA,
it can be capped.
These fakes generally will be capped.
And our because you say 69% of living persons are registered.
Yeah.
Do you know what percentage of the dead we are registering?
I cannot authoritatively state that, but what I can say is that the death registration in Uganda is still low.
It's still low.
Yeah, very, very low.
Okay, as we conclude, we are both lawyers. Of late, we have been hit by fake lawyers. You remember the story which was trending of the Kenyan lawyer, the young man who had no qualifications, was a fake lawyer, but he won 26 cases. And the question people are always asking me, so what happens to those judgments in those cases? Are they fake? Can you tell the audience your take as a lawyer? Are those fake judgments?
You see, let me remove my coat as an officer. Let me now answer that from a consumer perspective. All you ask me as a lawyer, and I'll answer the lawyer a bit later. Because me as a lawyer, the judgment should also be fake. But now, as a consumer, look at this. I've gone to buy a product. I've gone to buy medicine. I have an ailment that has taken me 20 years I have failed to get its solution. I go to the shelf, I buy this drug, I swallow, I get healed. When I go back home, I read the news that the drug I swallowed was made by
a fake guy.
A person who didn't have the qualifications. All I want to know is that I'm healed. That drug that I've swallowed, which I have failed to get, all that have failed to get me cured, I finally got it, although made by a person who's not qualified. Ultimately, I think consumers, we as a consumer, we want things that work. Now, on the other side, I'm now putting on my hat as a person who is a regulator on the side of government, or who is government. The onus is always on us to be ahead, one step ahead of these people, the fakes, because those people they think very fast. They always want to be one
things
step,
which are as good
exactly,
as the real thing.
As the real thing, and for the public, it is, for the consumer, it is what works. So ours is to protect that innocent consumer, because that person who took that tablet and I got healed, there's a possibility that I would have taken it also and died. But
So
maybe
what
that
you're
time I was lucky.
Is that the case of Mwenda?
Yeah.
the judgments in the public interest must be upheld. They can discipline the lawyer they want, let him go back to school and study. He should not be allowed to come and win other cases for people who want to be healed. Okay, he should stop there. But in the public interest, and also not to damage the justice system.
Not to damage, and also his irregularities, illegalities should not be visited
on the innocent.
On the innocent.
But that's the same argument consumers make when they are buying counterfeits. They will say, but it works as good as the genuine one.
Yes.
For me, it worked for me. And I think that's the dilemma.
That is the balance that...
the balance that you have to get, because on the one hand, you have the owner of the brand who has invested a lot of money to put a genuine product. Some crooked guy comes, copies it, dupes you as Towa and says, this is good, take it, and you lose. But your message to the audience in respect of this big problem of counterfeits, I know you've experienced them as well. What's your message to them?
My message is that, one, it is until you get a problem that you will know the value of dealing with the right product. One of counterfeits may seem cheap on the face of it, or as you're out there, but in the long run, it's a very, very high cost you pay for consuming that counterfeit. I relate it to my area in the national ID system. These certificates you want to get through brokers just because you're avoiding what you want to term a tedious process may save you time here, but eventually it may be costly. You lose that property that you were seeking to get. You will lose your rights that probably you would have gotten if you had followed the right procedure. So it may seem expensive, it may seem inconveniencing, but
follow the procedure.
Absolutely.
Follow the law.
Follow the law, follow the procedure, and deal with the right people. Deal with the right persons, with the right information, and if in doubt, please ask.
The information is available, I'm sure, on your website. And you have all those hotlines.
Yes.
Okay, so that has been a very interesting conversation here with Mr. Towa Bahemuka John, Manager Compliance and Enforcement at NIRA. I am hoping that we have learned how to avoid fakes and counterfeits in our national identification and registration documents. You have done a good job in elaborating what should be done and the importance of the national ID. You cannot have a fake national ID and be a genuine member of the public, a genuine consumer, because fake, forged national identifications are part of the counterfeits we are talking about here. We would like to thank you, as always, those who make it a date every Friday to make the audience to participate in this conversation. Those who are new here, the only show on the planet where we talk about the important but ignored subject of counterfeits. If you like what we're doing, you can subscribe, you can share, and do remember to give us a thumbs up and press your notification button to be notified about the next interesting program. Until then, don't be fake, buy and sell genuine.